In the dead of night, a single stroke of a blade through a leather saddle strap decides the fate of a legendary leader. We hear the heavy thud of a rider plummeting into the mud, and a hero is erased from the world. We find the remnants of that man years later, hiding in a freezing mountain cave. He is an old, heavily scarred hermit known as Mashuko. He remembers absolutely nothing about who he is or how he got those scars, yet his physical instincts remain intact. When Mashuko takes in a wounded boy named Kud, his hands operate with the surgical, precise muscle memory of a highly trained warrior. The mind is blank, but the body remembers exactly how to mend flesh. Kud is burning with a feverish desire for revenge against the men who hurt him. Mashuko, relying entirely on his physical instincts, tries to teach the boy a different path. He insists on survival, warning the boy about the heavy, lingering weight of taking another human life. The quiet of this cave is a holding pattern rather than a peace. Beneath the amnesia, the warrior remains, motionless, waiting for a single crack in the silence to let the rest of the world back in. The wall breaks down with a single drop of water. As Mashuko holds out a wooden bowl for the boy, the water inside trembles. That tiny sensory detail acts as a tripwire, violently snapping his mind backward into the dark. Here is a vintage map detailing the ancient borders of the Caucasus and its surrounding territories. For a young Mashuko, this massive, sunlit expanse was an untouched homeland. The mountains offered absolute protection. That safety shatters during a brutal night raid by Crimean forces. In the chaos of burning homes, a 10-year-old Mashuko is forced to make his first kill. The act leaves a permanent psychological scar. This silver Caucasian dagger, with its intricate metalwork, illustrates the strict Highlander code of honor that governed the region. Mashuko grew into a legendary leader who operated entirely by these high-status rules. Acting on that code, he chose to show mercy to a defeated Turkish slaver, Selim Bey, trusting in mutual respect. That rigid adherence to honor created a massive blind spot. Mashuko expected his enemies to play by his rules, giving them the exact vulnerability they needed to destroy him. Selim Bey returns to the highlands, but not with an invading force. He brings chests of Ottoman gold, betting that he can buy the loyalty he failed to take by force. The slaver buys off an envious local prince and a desperate, debt-ridden mercenary named Selim. Together, they engineer a conspiracy to quietly eliminate Mashuko, the only man standing in the way of a highly profitable slave trade. This drops us right back into the opening scene in the rain. It was Selim holding the knife in the dark. He severed the saddle strap, ensuring Mashuko's fall and the resulting brain injury. With the region's protector lying helpless in the mud, the conspirators moved in. They kidnapped the family of Mashuko's blood brother and sold them directly into the Turkish slave markets. Back in the freezing cave, the pieces snap together. Kud thrashes in his sleep, screaming out in a fever dream. That raw human sound provides the final shock to Mashuko's system. The mental blocks completely dissolve. The confused old hermit is dead. The warrior wakes up, and he remembers the faces of every single man who sold his people. Mashuko and his young apprentice abandon the cave. They descend the mountain to actively hunt down the architects of the conspiracy. They track the mercenary Selim to a winter forest, but they find him already bleeding out in the snow, his body torn apart by a pack of wolves. Mashuko stands over the dying man. Instead of taking his long-awaited vengeance, he lowers his weapon. He leaves the mercenary to bleed, handing the judgment over to God. The final confrontation happens in the estate of the aging prince. Once again, Mashuko refuses to execute him. Instead, he systematically exposes the prince's treason to the man's own son, entirely obliterating the old man's legacy and moral standing. By refusing to strike a fatal blow, Mashuko steps completely outside the endless, bloody loop of regional vendettas. He refuses to participate in the cycle of violence that ruined his life. The heroes eventually reach the cold seashore. They watch a massive Turkish galleon drift over the horizon. The Blood Brothers' kidnapped son is on board, now an assimilated, high-ranking official of the empire who will never return. The reality of time sets in. You cannot undo history, and executing the guilty fails to resurrect the dead or bring the stolen children home. Mashuko turns his back on the ocean and walks away from the war. He finds a patch of dirt in his ruined homeland, digs his hands into the soil, and plants a single walnut tree. Final victory isn't found in a sharper blade or a more thorough slaughter. It's found in the moment a man stops reaching for a sword and starts reaching for the soil, choosing to nurture something that might outlast the scars of his past.